Well, hey everybody, I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to As Above, So Below, a rune and tarot divination for Monday, the 5th of September, Labor Day in the US, 2022. Well, I hope you've had a good weekend. If you have today off, that's going to be nice to have that off, won't it be? Maybe you're going to have a barbecue or whatever with your family, or just spend the day together. I don't know. It's just me and my husband here, so we're not doing anything but what we normally do on a Monday. Irrigation and mowing and the garden and watering and all of that. So I started this once and discovered I didn't have it turned on. I clicked on it, but I don't know, nothing happened. And then I got as far as taking the geomancy runes. I got those out, the elemental ones. I'm going to find the geomancy rune, and I'm doing this. I'm going to throw them down, and one, I don't know, it went under my desk. So since it wasn't obvious where it was, I had to stop the video. So I'm restarting, but I'm going to keep the same. I'm going to go ahead and keep the same Elder Futhark rune. I'm not going to change that. But we'll go ahead and let's go ahead and go over the esoteric influences for today. Those are up on the blog, as are the other two posts I do for the week. The newsletter's out. Also, the Patreon stuff is up. The Medium stuff is up. And over on Patreon, when I post this particular video over there, I also do a write-up. So it's not like a transcript or anything, but so sometimes you'll get more stuff over there than you will in this. I'll remember something and then I'll say, oh, I forgot to say this, but this is relevant, And so sometimes you get it's a little bit different, but mostly it's the same. But anyway. But let's look at today's esoteric influences. The 5 numerology, of course, given that this is the 5th day of September. Change, innovation, protection, freedom versus restriction. All of that could be the 5. The pentagram is the 5. Let's see. Vunyo is the Elder Futhark rune, the above side of things. So joy and fellowship from a spiritual perspective. Albus is the geomancy rune, and that we're looking at sage or someone with white hair or wisdom or clarity. The moon's in Capricorn, and I basically when I'm gathering up the information from which to write this, I also use not only the astrological chart for the day, but also the human design chart for the day. And the second paragraph is always reflective of the human design chart, but everything else is in the first paragraph. But just so you know how I do this. But what I've been doing of late is I'm using the information from the planetary governor for that particular day. So Thursdays, for example, Jupiter governs, and so it'll be Jupiter in Aries. That's part of the specific influences for that day. And then, but for today, the moon governs, and so hence the moon in Capricorn. And then maybe some of the aspects, if they're interesting, the stronger aspects that the moon has for today. So anyway, changes may occur that impact your ability to rise above a situation today, and you may feel reluctant to engage with others. You might feel moody, and because of that, your feelings of insecurity increase, leading to behavior that might be self-indulgent or defensive. So some inner work may be necessary to overcome how you're feeling so that you can return to a more collaborative experience with others. In other words, you can be around people. You have an intrinsic need to express yourself, but as long as your emotions are in flux, you may retreat to a more solitary focus. And so, which is fine if you don't have to work today, but if you have to work today because it's a Monday, then, you got to do the best you can there. Oh, I'm not ready to do the cards yet. I'm grabbing the cards. But anyway, as I said, that today's rune is Alyes. Now, Alyes is sort of reflects, in my opinion, all 4 elements with air, fire, and water up top on the spirit side of things, and then earth on the bottom. And basically, it sort of looks like you're holding your arms up in supplication to spirit if you do this physically. Because that's one of the things you can do with runes. You can embody them physically. You can, it reminds me of the song YMCA, but whatever. But basically, this represents the elk or the elk sedge. So it has protection as part of its interpretation. But it's also the They say it represents the Bifrost bridge to between realms or to higher consciousness. But if you don't want to call it the Bifrost bridge, you can just call it the bridge to higher consciousness. And again, when you raise your arms in supplication to spirit, isn't that really what you're doing? You're accessing the higher consciousness. You're accessing higher self. You're accessing goddess. You're accessing, I mean, whatever you deem that to be, right? So I think that we're starting out, at least today, is moving your awareness into higher consciousness. So with fear and trepidation, I shall try to do the geomancy runes again. And these we put in the order of fire, air, water, and earth. So let's see, Oh, okay. Well, we have Fortuna Major. Fortuna Major, for the below side of things, that's greater fortune. Now, this can either mean something is going to come to fruition today, if I can ever find it. Oh, there it is. Something could come to fruition today. Something, you could get a paycheck that you were maybe not expecting, or maybe you were expecting. You could, but something really positive. It's not like acquisitio is gain. So you can look at that as financial, but it doesn't have to be. But Fortuna Major really a lot of the time is financial. But then again, I guess it depends on how you define fortune. If you're going to define fortune in a more spiritual way, there could be something else that happens that's very positive today. And coupled with all ye's, I have to wonder if it's a more spiritual type of an experience, a more spiritual type of fortune today. So higher awareness, maybe. Let me move this to the side here. But I'm going to keep it up just in case. Sometimes, obviously I didn't draw the same runes as the esoteric influences today, but, it's such a specific reading for today, especially about being moody and self-indulgent and all of that. Because when we're moody, we can be, can't we? You get moody, sometimes you get fussy. So, people do, it's just part of the human condition. And we exist in cycles of energy, right? Sometimes we're up, sometimes we're down. And it's just the way it is. Your moods are very rarely stable. And, it's like people that are too perky. It's like, oh, just stop it. Be depressed one day, please, That's my own personal bias, though. It's like I have a hard time with really perky, positive people who can't see the whole picture of things, who can't utter a negative word. It's like, well, yeah, come on. Somewhere you're doing it. Nothing is ever completely positive, and it's okay to see that. You can look at something, you can try to see the best in it, but maybe there isn't anything that's the best other than the learning that you take from it, right? Whatever awareness you gain. But, to see only one side of things seems to be, I don't know, to me it's not real. But that's just me. Okay, well, no court cards today. So I hate the readings where all they are court cards. It's like, oh, geez. Can't there be any more depth than that? Because I don't know. There's just, you can find a little bit of it with the court, but I just think that the rest of the tarot has a whole lot more meaning. There's also no major arcana cards here. So this is, we've got water, pentacles. We got water with the cups. We've got earth with pentacles, and we've got air with swords. So it would have been more interesting if we had fire, air, and water up here for this, but we don't. But let's go ahead and... I wonder if we can read it, though, in the way we might with all use. Let me look at this for a second. Let's see, 9, 10, 11, and 6 is, what, 17? So we have an 8 energy for today, so at least so far, unless we decide to take a 4th card. But let's go ahead and find some coherence here a little bit. but we might need a fourth card. Here we have the Two of Cups. Now, this can be looked at in terms of a relationship that's being healed, or this can be looked at in terms of inner polarity that needs to be healed. But what we have here is we have the man over here taking a step toward the woman, reaching his hand out. He's got his chalice here, and she's got her chalice there. So they're both trying to offer compassion and understanding to one another. We see the winged lion above here, and the caduceus here. Two is about healing and balance and love and reciprocity and all of that. Also can be about decisions. So it's the decisions to heal. They're stepping outside their comfort zone, maybe, to do this. We'll call their home up here their comfort zone. You see this line of demarcation. And so they're literally, here is now and that is then. Maybe you could look at it that way. Or they're stepping away from the trappings of their lives to come together and find some measure of healing, and extending love and compassion to one another. So there could be something, if you're dealing with moodiness today with respect to the esoteric influences, this could mean that you're needing to find some balance in your life. But it could also be that there's some healing you need to do with somebody else, and you really have to kind of step away from the fray of it all, the conflict or the emotion of it all, or what have you, and get out and just have that pure experience between you and the other person. But again, if we're going to relate this to the esoteric influences today, it could reflect the inner work you need to do to sort of heal whatever's going on and come to some better balance within. But we'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at that for now. Then we have the, you know what? Well, I'll talk about this first, but I think I'm going to put this at the end. Here we have the Nine of Pentacles. We see a woman, likely she could be the queen. She could be someone who's wealthy. But I love that robe that she's wearing. That is so cool. She's out in her garden. You can see, if you look right over here, you can see the house, or the castle, part of it anyway. She's got her falcon on her left hand, and her hand is gloved, of course. She's got the other hand, her right hand, on top of the pentacles. So she's very comfortable, and all of her assets basically are around her. Nine is about endings and completion. It's also about spirituality and generosity. But it doesn't look like she's offering that to someone else. So you can kind of look at this card in maybe a couple of different ways. There are grapes around her. So this is really about abundance. But it's about her own abundance, and it doesn't look like she's really sharing that with other people. She's in kind of a solitary place, so maybe she's finding peace in the garden. You could look at it that way, especially after either healing the polarity within or healing something with somebody else. So now she's got some peace. But I wonder if we need to put that at the end, and you'll see what I mean. Here we have the Six of Swords, which again is the air element. When you talk about the air element, you're talking about the intellect. And so anything that's mental, communication, interaction, reason, justice, all of that falls under the air element. But here we have also direction, moving in a different direction. And here, although we can look at this as a journey over water, I think that it's really a journey to new perception. Now, it's in the winter, and so you see the what looks like the mother and child huddled against the elements as the ferryman, or perhaps it's her husband. I tend to interpret this as a young family. But they're moving in a direction of something new opportunities, new. But with the air element, you're really talking about perception here. And so a journey over the elements basically to gain a different perspective, to start it to go in a different direction in your life. All of that tends to involve perception and how you see things. And having them in front of them is an interesting placement here. Um, it's like everything had to change for them. Something had to change for them to take this risk, to take this journey during the winter. But in a way, it's almost like they're with the winter time, everything is calm. Everything is new. Everything is, and especially if it's after the winter solstice, you've got the beginning of the light returning, although you don't see it there. But it's almost like it's new opportunities that are in Genesis. I guess that's what I'm trying to say here. And they've had a change in perspective, and now, irrespective of the challenges, and that would mean the cold and the winter and all of that, because you can see the snow here on top of the trees, and the snow on the little hills that the trees are on. And the icy water that they're pushing across, so that implies challenges that are ahead, and I just think that you could probably put Fortuna Major above the Nine of Pentacles, but I wonder if it could also modify all three cards. Because if there's a change in circumstances where you are able to come together in some kind of reciprocity, some kind of agreement, some kind of emotional agreement, where emotional commitment, maybe to move forward into something else, you're willing to do that irrespective of the challenges in front of you. But whatever happened here could have caused then a shift in perception. You see what I'm saying? And then when all is said and done, you're going to have some measure of material security if you do. That in the end, you'll have material security. That would be with the 9. And that would, of course, align very well with Fortuna Major. But again, something had to happen where you increased your awareness. And I think that coming together in harmony this way, in reciprocity, in healing, maybe, you're now on the same page that you can move forward, and so the perception shifts. But let's take a fourth card. I feel like there's something missing, and I'm not sure yet where that is. It's either we might find out what caused the rift to begin with, but maybe the man, maybe the husband, the partner, if you will, if we want to look at this as two people instead of the polarity within, maybe he's just trying to convince his wife, well, his partner, his spouse, whatever, that we need to go do something else. And we need to have a different direction in our life. Maybe he's got a job offer, and she's not so sure about it. But somehow or another, maybe there was an argument, and now they're coming back together in some measure of healing, so that they can then go ahead, the two of them and their child, move forward into another type of experience. And everything's falling off today. It's just been an odd morning. Too many starts on this reading. Just can you imagine throwing one of your runes on the floor? It's just like, it could have gone in the garbage. That's under there. It could have gone any place. I found it in I have a tub down there that has rune stock in it. Bags of different types of wood from different trees on the property, and so that's where it fell. So it's like, well, it's natural home, I guess. I don't know. Here we have the Ace of Cups. So obviously, well, I shouldn't say obviously, but yeah, I think where it's going to go is going to go after the 2. So we had an 8. Did I say we have, or I might have said that in the last attempt at the reading. We have it. No, I didn't. We have an 8 energy. So this is 9. This makes it 9. So completion again. completion, endings, completion, spirituality, generosity. Again, it's going to align well numerologically with both Alyi's and Fortuna Major, I guess. With the idea of bringing spirit into your awareness, letting higher awareness guide your hand, guide your path, guide your decisions. And if you do that, then you have some more security that could be coming your way. But here we have the dove of peace dropping a disc that has a cross in it. And I'll talk about that. It's this. I finally just did a nice one and stuck it on my monitor here. But here we have the Ace of Cups, and we have a hand reaching out from the cloud, the unknown, the hand coming out from the unknown. So generally, we look at that upon that as creation. The mystical hand of fate, maybe, depends on your orientation. We've got 5 streams of water coming out. So the pentagram is represented there. All elements, in other words, are represented there. Air, fire, water, earth, and spirit. We see the golden chalice. We see the lily pads down below. So all this water is streaming in and nourishing the lily pads down below. It actually looks like bigger than a small pool of water, because you see a little mountain there in the background over here. But the Ace of Cups is about the genesis of new emotional awareness, basically, the genesis of compassion, of understanding. Maybe you could put it in front of the 2, and with that, then you have the ability to come together, either polarity-wise, inwardly wise, and deal with your own emotional resonance, especially if it's kind of out of kilter, like is suggested in today's esoteric influences. Otherwise, you could have this, and from this healing, a new level, and that's kind of how I think I want to read it, a new level of emotional awareness is created, where you can come together and shift your perceptions into something new, going in a new direction together in unity and harmony. With the 6 is also about a shared path. Did I do it? See, 9, 10, 11, yeah, 17, yeah, I did it right, okay. The 6 is also about shared path, or shared direction. And so whatever disagreement happened here, we don't know what that is, but it probably had to do with moving in a different direction in their lives together. And whatever discussions they were having maybe weren't getting them anywhere, so they stepped away from the home, and they came together in healing, with the man, the masculine side of self, or the projective side of self, initiating that type of energy, that's very initiating energy. She's there to receive on the feminine or receptive side of self. She's there to receive that type of initiation, where he's probably saying, look, I'm sorry I got pushy. I'm sorry that I'm not listening. I hear what you have to say. And maybe she says the same. Well, okay, I see that you really want to do this, and you're right. I think it could be a very good thing for our family. And so the genesis of new emotional awareness comes in. Again, part of Alyi's, that type of higher awareness. But it also could indicate direction. And so the idea of also protection with Alyi's, the directionality of it is the energies coming down from higher awareness. So all of that protects them as they shift their perception to something new, and take their journey toward new experiences and a new life, basically, irrespective of the challenges. So they're on that shared path. And then in the end, here you have the 9 of Pentacles, where you've achieved some measure of material security when you do that. So this could really involve a job that is maybe going to take you somewhere else. You're going to have to move somewhere else. And if that's the case, perhaps there's been some conflict between you and your partner, or just within. If it's not about a partner, maybe it's just conflict within of, I don't know what to do. What do I do here? And I think that part of the Ace of Cups is also following your heart. So we can rationalize to death something, but it's, what do you want to do? Is this excite you? Is this something you really want to do? Or are you going to let all of these reasons get in the way of it all? Maybe if you set those aside and you just started thinking about, well, what is it that I really want? Well, I really want that. Then you find a way to make that happen. And in the end, it could give you the kind of material security and peace that you're looking for, but you have to be able to take that risk. And obviously, if this is a family situation, the risk is going to impact the family. But you decide at some point that maybe it's worth the risk, because in the end, the paycheck's going to be bigger. I have room for advancement, or whatever it is, right? I mean, it could be anything. But I think that realistically, I think that's the way this reading is moving. And in the end, you have your Fortuna Major, the greater fortune. Now, about this little disc here that the Dove of Peace is dropping into the chalice, it's basically representing this type of balance. You've got how do I hold this so you can see it well? Well, anyway, you've got the feminine and the masculine polarity on the horizontal axis. On the vertical axis, you've got the spirit versus form. Typically, we live around here. We need to be here, realistically. And when you're in the genesis of something, you have the chance to begin again, basically. And so I think that with all of the aces, irrespective of the suit, you're talking about everything is brand new, and the chance to do it all over again, and to take a different perspective. In this case, it's emotional with cups. To think with your heart a little bit, maybe a little bit more than constantly being in your head. And maybe that can help provide the impetus for what it is you really want to do. And then with the Six of Swords, you have the ability to think about, okay, how am I going to get this done? How am I going to do this? And if it's like, well, I'm going to have to think differently about this and think that I can actually do it, that's the shift in perception that I was initially talking about with the Six of Swords here. Realistically, there may be challenges along the way, but you're ready to meet them. And I say that because the swords are out in front of all of them. They're here. They're not laying in the boat. They're not packed away or anything. They're here. Everything is there in front of them. All of the strategy, in other words, the strategy of how are we going to make this work? How are we going to accomplish what we want to accomplish here? So there has to be some of that air element in there. Now, with Alyi's, you're looking at fire, air, and water, and with earth down below. Well, fire then is not within this particular reading, but maybe it's the creative impulse to actually move forward. It's that spark of life. It's the vitality. It's the energy to do all of this, the underlying higher energy that propels the spirit on, propels the soul on in its physical existence to try new things and to learn about new experiences and to have those new experiences. So even though there's no fire element represented, in other words, there's no wands cards here, I think that it's the underlying energy that we get from Alyi's to raise our hands to spirit and say, what do I need to do here? And so there's the guiding hand, basically, that we see with the Ace of Cups. Maybe it's implied with the fire element as well. I mean, we definitely have it with Alyi's. It's just not present in the cards. But I think that the impulse is there to step outside your comfort zone with the two, and heal whatever the polarity within, or the situation with your partner, to where you can then develop a more heart-centered approach to things and say, what do you want to do? How are we going to follow our hearts today, and make this work for everybody? And we see that evidenced in the Six of Swords. And then in the end, we have our peace of mind, or our material security, which is how I prefer to read this card. I don't like to read it in the negative, but sometimes with other cards you don't really have a choice in the matter. So I guess today then, if there needs to be a little bit of healing within, especially with today's potential moodiness for people, if there needs to be some of that, do that. If not, it probably is going to involve someone else. And if this is something where you're considering a change in circumstances, it's going to take a change in perception for that to happen. It's also going to maybe have to have a change within your heart. And to go with your feelings. How does this feel to you? Does this feel exciting? Let go of the fear of it all and see it as a possibility. And maybe this decision that you need to make with your partner, if that's what this is going to take you into a new direction. And you've got your plans and your strategy and all of that out in front of you here with the 6. And irrespective of the challenges that you might face, in the end, it could be a very positive change in your life. So, and embrace your greater fortune of Fortuna Major. So that's an interesting way to begin a Labor Day, kind of maybe a work scenario, if you will. But my tea's finally cool enough to drink. My husband makes my tea for me in the morning. Well, he makes my tea for me all day long, but other than the herbal stuff, that stuff I do. But I get it. It's way too hot to even drink. So, but it's nice at the end, because by this time I'm losing my voice anyway. So, well, again, happy Labor Day if you're here in this country. I don't know if you're having to work. Well, I don't know. It's just, I've just always approached Labor Day as just a day off if I could get it, and now that we're retired, every day's a day off. So it gets kind of, there's no real excitement about things like this anymore, I guess, at least not for me. It's just another day. And I sound like my mother. My mother used to always say, oh, it's just another day. But she'd say it about her birthday and Mother's Day. Oh, it's just another day. It's like, no. We're not doing that. So I don't go that far. But unless my kids haven't called me or something, like early in the morning to wish me happy birthday, they'll say, oh, it's just another day, They do later, but, if they haven't done it right away to wake me up, then it's like, oh. So anyway, thanks for watching. And, again, if you got the day off, enjoy your day, and enjoy your day even if you don't. It's, I just have this feeling that things are happening, and I don't know. We'll see what they are. So far, it seems positive to me, but I don't know. But I've been having this feeling like something's up, something's happening, and I think it's a good thing. So I don't know. We'll see. You never know. Sometimes you can your intuition and all of that can take you to the place you want it to be, instead of then later on you go, oh, that's what it was about. But anyway, thanks for watching. And if you haven't clicked subscribe yet, I'd love you to do that, and come back again on Thursday for another edition of As Above, So Below. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.